RTO here. Welcome to Marathon Wednesday. All I'll say is it's glad that the temperatures have gone back to some sort of normality. It's quite pleasant, even though it's overcast, it's very pleasant. So today, viewers' request, and it is for the mighty Kiss. There's not many people I know that don't say they don't like Kiss. I think we all like our different eras of Kiss. I think it'll be pretty obvious as we go through this which is mine. Formed in 1973 by Paul Stanley and Simmons and Ace Frehley, Peter Criss. They were known for obviously the stage outfits, face paint, great shows. I've seen them twice, and I've never seen them with makeup. I've seen them without makeup. I saw them at Donington, and I did see them at the NEC on the Crazy Nights tour. Great show. My ears rang for days. I've had a few changes in lineups, getting back together, all that sort of thing. So they have had 20 albums. We don't know if there are any more. They're currently on a tour. So let's get cracking. So coming in at number 20, we go to the 17th album, released in 1997, the Carnival of Souls, the final sessions. It's the band's final album with Bruce Kulick, or Keelick, depends on how you pronounce it. I say Kulick, and it was the last time we'd have Eric Singer on the drums until 2009. This is very a departure. It was more grungy. So on here we've got Paul Stanley, of course, Simmons, Bruce Kulick, and Eric Singer. First track on here is called Hate. Doesn't sound like Kiss at all. I don't like it. Simple as. Rain. The riffs are in this are okay, but I don't want to hear Kiss doing grunge. I really don't. Master and Save. Again, it's not very good. The trouble with Kiss is they jump on all these bandwagons, and some work and some don't. Childhood's End. Now I don't mind this one. It's probably one of the better songs on the album. It actually sort of sounds like a Kiss track. Then I'll get the one we do like. It's called I Will Be There. This isn't too bad. It's more of a gentle track with a bit more acoustic sound into it. It's pretty good, and I don't mind that one. Jungle, again, it's not too bad. Lots of Simmons bass line on this, which is a bonus. In My Head, I'm sorry, it just doesn't sound right. Kiss do not do grunge very well. Leave it to the grunge bands, and you stick to what you're good at. It Never Goes Away. This is a dark, dingy rock sound that just doesn't suit Kiss. Seduction of the Innocent. It's got a nice guitar solo from Bruce, and that's about it really. I confess, this sounds more like a Black Sabbath track than Kiss. It just didn't do anything for me. In the Mirror, another track that sort of sounds like Kiss. It's not too bad. I Walk Alone, I just don't like this track at all. All this backward tracking, it just sounds horrible. This is an album I've probably only played about twice in about 15 years. In all honesty, I don't want to hear Kiss doing grunge. As I said, they're renowned for jumping on bandwagons, and I don't think this really worked. So, I mean, since I've had the album, I've played it, as I said, twice, and the first time I played it was when I brought it, and the second time I brought it was when I reviewed it. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 2 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 19, we go to the ninth album released in 1981. Music from the Elder. This is the first album to feature Eric Carr on drums, and the last to feature Ace Frehley until the 1996 reunion. So we've got Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley and Eric Carr. First track on here is called The Oath. I actually don't mind this song, it's pretty good. Nice vocal from Paul on this. Fanfare is a sort of little instrumental, but you don't expect this on a Kiss album. Just a Boy. It's a good track. I like the track, but it's not what I expect from Kiss. But it is actually quite nice. Dark Light. It's okay. I can cope with this one. It's not too bad. Only You. Never been keen on that. Under the Rose. It's not too bad. Good guitar solo from Ace on it though. I don't mind that. We get A World Without Heroes. It's just a total departure. It's got a good solo though from Ace. Mr. Blackwell again doesn't sound right. Escape from the Island. This is an instrumental and it's the best thing on the album. Some great drumming from Mr. Eric Carr. Odyssey. Paul's vocals sound terrible on this. I don't know what he was trying to do. All the brass, it just doesn't sound right. This isn't too bad. I like the riffs on this. Not too bad. And then the finale, very similar to the start. It's just a fanfare. Unfortunately, it's another album I really can't get my head round. But I'm sort of growing towards it. But when you put it against the others, it just still sits here. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 18, we go to the 8th album released in 1980, Unmasked. It's the first album that does not feature Peter Criss on the album, although he was absent from the previous album. He did perform on that album's Dirty Living, which we'll go into. So on here we've got Paul Stanley on vocals, Gene Simmons on bass and guitars, Ace Frehley, and the drumming was done by Anton Fig. First track on this one is called Is That You? I like this track. I like the bass line from Gene, it's pretty good, and a fantastic vocal from Paul. Really catchy tune. Shandy, I think this is a bit wishy-washy. No, I'm not a fan of that. Talk to Me, again, not a bad tune. Got a catchy hook, not too bad. Naked City, it's okay, just a mediocre rock track, but it's listenable. What Makes the World Go Round, the drum sound on this sounds a bit hollow. Don't know why. And then we get Tomorrow. It's a track I really like. It reminds me of some of their real early stuff. It's a really good track. Two Sides of the Coin. It's not the best track on the album, but it just passes as listenable. She's So European. It's not too bad. It's got some nice riffs in that. Easy As It Seems. Love the bass line in this from Gene Simmons. Pretty good track. Torpedo Girl, again it's alright, nothing outstanding. And You're All the One I Want, another good track, really good strong track to end the album. The album's not too bad. There's nothing memorable on it, to be quite honest, but it's just a good solid rock album and I do listen to it. And I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 17, we go to the 11th album, 1983, Lick It Up. This marks the first appearance without the makeup. On here we have got Paul Stanley vocals and rhythm guitar, Gene Simmons vocals and bass guitar, Eric Carr is on the drums, and Vinnie Vincent is lead guitarist. and this was the last album that Vinnie Vincent played on. So we got Exciter, love that track, great riff here from Vinnie Vincent. Really, really good album track, like that one a lot. Not for the Innocent, Gene Simmons track, nice thumping bass line, good work on the guitars again from Vinnie Vincent. Lick It Up. I'm not a huge fan of that song. I know that's going to shock a lot of you. I just think it's cheesy, and it was just made for MTV. It's one of them songs, if I never hear it again, I won't get upset about. Young and Wasted, again a Jimmy and Simmons track, and the bass line is amazing. Great stuff. Gimme More, another thundering song. Great riffs, great vocal from Mr. Stanley. Let me get my favourite track on the album, All Hell's Breaking Loose. Great bass line, and some great drumming from Eric. 1,000,000 to 1, here we go with the 1980s MTV style tripe. Great when I put that on. I really don't like that track. Fits Like a Glove, love this. That drumming from Eric Carr is absolutely amazing. Great stuff. Dance All Over Your Face, a little bit overproduced on this. I don't know what they've done to poor Eric's drums. Yeah, On the Eighth Day, solid track. Like that one a lot. Yeah, good way to end the album. I don't mind this album actually. It sounds a little bit dated now, but it has got some good tracks on. I think this is one of them that needs to be re-recorded, remastered, whatever. Take away the 80s production, and I think you would have a half-decent album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.3. Okay then, coming in at number 16, we got a 1989 now. And it is Hot in the Shade. On here we have got Paul Stanley, of course, Gene Simmons, Eric Carr, and Bruce Kulick. And also making an appearance on here is Tommy Thayer. Opening track is Rise to It. I like the start of this. That steel guitar is really good, but it's a little bit generic 80s rock. Betrayed, one of the better tracks on the album. It's just a good solid track. Hide Your Heart, which is a cover of Bonnie Tyler song, and I hate Bonnie Tyler with a vengeance, and anyone that sings her songs are always better, and I think Paul sings is better than Bonnie. Good track. It actually is a good track. It's just a shame that Bonnie did it. Prisoner of Love, a little bit of that rock and roll sound on here, it's not too bad. Read My Body, silly bit of percussion at the beginning, bit of nonsense, nothing wrong with that. It's not a bad track. Loves a slap in the face, overproduced drums, overproduced guitars, not for me. Forever, another track that was made for the MTV crowd. They certainly, MTV have got a lot to answer for. Silver Spoon, my favourite track. This isn't great vocal from Paul on this, some good guitar riffs from Bruce. Cadillac Dreams, like this track. Love the guitar solo from Bruce on that. It's a pretty good track. The King of Hearts, it's alright. The Street Giveth and the Street Taketh Away, it's just a bit of an ordinary track there. You Love Me to Hate You, just really 80s rock. It's a strong tune. Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell, it's okay. Little Caesar, nah, I don't like that one. And Boomerang, like the song, great drumming from Eric Carr, absolutely brilliant stuff from Eric. There's too many songs on this album. Starts strong and sort of fizzles out as the album goes on, although I do like the last track. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay then, coming in at number 15, we have the 18th album, Circus. It's the first to involve the originals since 1979's Dynasty. Haven't put the year this come out, but it's there now. So on here, this is really weird. Criss was only allowed to play on the drums that Ace Frehley penned. Really bitty, you know. A reunion's supposed to be a reunion, not dragging up old stuff. So it's all weird on this one. So we got Paul Stanley on vocals, Gene Simmons on bass and vocals, Ace Frehley vocals and lead guitar on tracks 4, 6 and 11. Criss just vocals on tracks 6 and 8 and just drums on 4. Additional musicians, we've got Kevin Valentine's on drums except track 4. Lead guitar Tommy Thayer. Bruce Keeley plays lead guitar on track 2. Shelley Berg does a piano. So it's just a mishmash. It's not really a reunion of the originals. It's just anyone that's been associated with Kiss. Circus is the first track. I don't mind this. It's pretty good. Within great Gene track, great bass line here and a great vocal from Gene. I like that. I pledge allegiance to the state of rock and roll. It's a bit of a reminiscent of the early days. Not a bad track. Into the Void. I like this one. It's got Ace Frehley on it, and you got Criss playing on it. It's not a bad track. We Are One. Bit ironic, bit cheesy, and the band certainly weren't one when they made this album. You wanted the best. The start of this sounds, the bass line is okay, and then it just fizzles away. Raise Your Glasses isn't too bad. It's got some nice riffs on this. I Finally Found My Way. This is dreadful. It's awful track. Don't like it at all. It's a Criss pen thing with Bob Ezrin, and that's not very good. Dreaming, some really good riffs on this, not too bad. And then The Journey of 1,000 Years, it's mediocre. This was probably one of the most hyped up albums ever. Same like the original lineup, and then when you find out that it's got every Tom, Dick and Harry on it, it's got some nice tracks on it, but in all honesty, I don't think this worked at all. There's none of that. You can tell in the playing and that no one really wanted to do this. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 14, we go to the 19th album, Sonic Boom from 2009, and it's the first album they've put out in 11 years. And it was the first album to be released with the current lineup consisting of Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer. So on here we've got a Modern Day Delilah. I don't mind this track, quite a catchy tune. Good guitar work here from Tommy Thayer. Like that one. Russian Roulette, one of those typical Gene Simmons songs. I love Gene's songs. Really good vocal from Gene on this one. Never Enough, not a bad track. Like Tommy's guitar riffs on this, and I think Paul has got a really strong vocal on that. Pretty good track. Yes, I Know Nobody's Perfect, solid rocker. Like that one a lot. Stand, solid enough track, don't mind it. It's nothing special, but it's still got a good rock beat, nothing wrong with that. Hot and Cold, it's alright. Not brilliant, listenable though. It's got some nice riffs in it. Then we have All the Glory. Again, some nice guitar work here from Tommy. Sounds very good. Like that track a lot. Dangerous, my favourite track on this. I love the solo from Tommy on this one. That's the best track on the album without a doubt. I Am an Animal, another strong track, really groovy riffs here. Again, it's a Gene Simmons song and it sounds great. When Lightning Strikes, solid track, some nice riffs again from Tommy. Then we get Say Yeah, and I don't mind this one actually, pretty cool. Definitely one of the better albums of the later years. It's got some strong tracks on this. I don't mind listening to this one at all. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.5. Time for a drink. Okay, then coming in at number 13, we go to the 7th album from 1979, Dynasty. It was the first time that the band didn't perform together on the entire album, so they sort of went in and did bits. This is the one that, although Peter Criss is credited on it, he only played on one track. The rest was done by Anton Fig. We've got Vinnie Panoka doing the keyboards. Nice Frehley, Paul and Gene. Opens up with, of course, I Was Made for Loving You. I actually like this track. I think it's quite groovy. I don't mind it at all actually. 2000 Man. Of course, this is a cover of a song from the Rolling Stones off their Satanic Majesty's request, and I think it's a good effort. Very good effort. I like that. Sure Know Something. Probably one of the worst songs Kiss ever did. I just don't like it. Then we get Dirty Living. This is the one that Peter Criss plays on, and I think he sings on it as well. And it's quite funky in places. It's not too bad. You'll get more of that on his solo album, this sort of sounding thing, which of course, yes, we are ranking them probably in a couple of months' time. Then we get Charisma, another one of those great Gene Simmons songs. It's got some effects on it, just Gene being Gene. Pretty cool. Magic Touch. I don't mind this, not a bad track. Hard Times, it's not too bad. I'm not a great fan of it, really. It's just listenable. X-Ray Eyes, I totally find wishy-washy. And Save Your Love, and I'm not a great fan of that one. Again, it's just not for me. Mixed bag won this on it. Some good tracks, some mediocre tracks. I don't think the production on this is particularly good either. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay, then coming in at number 12, we have the 13th album now, released in 1985. And it is Asylum, the album that marked a continuation of that glam metal sound. So on this one we have got Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Eric Carr and Bruce Kulick. Opens up with the brilliant King of the Mountain. Love this track, always have. I think it's got some great drumming and riffs on this. Solid track. Anywhere You Slice It. Solid track. Love Bruce's guitar solo on this. Excellent. Who Wants to Be Lonely. Solid track. Nice catchy riffs. Trial by Fire. That's a shame because this is totally overproduced. And I think if it wasn't overproduced, it'd be a great rocker. I'm Alive. Eric Carr's drumming on this is brilliant. It shows what a great drummer he was. Love Is a Deadly Weapon. Another good rock track here. Some great guitar work from Bruce on this. Nothing good-ish. It's one of them that you sits on the fence. Sometimes I like it and sometimes I go nah. Then we get Tears Are Falling. one of their most popular tracks, but unfortunately for Iain, it's not one of my favourites. Again, it's one of the Kiss tracks that if I never hear again, I'm not going to get upset about. Secretly Cruel, nice little rock track that is, nothing wrong with that one. Radar for Love, like the tune, but the singing is a bit shambolic. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense really. All night, more MTV fodder here. It's a shame because I think this has got some great tracks on it, but it's all down to that horrible 80s production. But there are some good stuff on here, and I've heard some of these songs live, of course, and they sound much better live. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.7. Okay then, coming in at number 10, we get the 14th album released in 1987, Crazy Nights. The tour I saw it, their 14th album, of course. On here it's Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Eric Carr, Bruce Kulick. Got additional people on here, backing vocals from Tom Kelly and Phil Ashley on the keyboards. Opens up with Crazy Crazy Nights. Again, if I never hear this again, I won't lose sleep over it. I'll Fight Hell to Hold You. Not particular favourite of mine. It's just that 80s poppy sound. Bang Bang You, like this track. Great stuff. Really strong track. Then we get my favourite track on here, No No No. Okay, a lot of people think this is a rip-off of Hot for Teacher. But the drumming on this is amazing. I remember seeing them do this live and it was absolutely electric. Eric Carr was brilliant, so was Bruce. Absolutely mind-blowing track, and I love this track. Hell or High Water. I don't mind this track, it's got a nice riff, it's a catchy tune, one of the better poppy rock songs on the album. My Way, oh dear, definitely something that you'd hear on MTV, just doesn't do nothing for me. When Your Walls Come Down, don't mind this track, I know it sounds good live. Reason to Live, here we go, more MTV fodder. Good Girl Gone Bad, isn't too bad, don't mind the guitar solo on this from Bruce, it's pretty good, and a nice bass line on this from Mr. Simmons. Turn on the Night, more 80s pop fodder from MTV. And the last track is pretty cool, Thief in the Night, got some nice riffs. I've got sort of a bit of affection for this album because it's the album that I saw them perform at Donington and at the NEC. So, and I know it's got some good tracks on here because obviously they played a lot of these live and they sound far better live. And it's just, I just put this one down to poor production. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.9. Okay, we're now into the top 10, which is the, to me, is sort of the 10 albums that really do it for me for Kiss. Covers a lot of their eras, but there's some excellent albums in this top 10. So starting in the top 10 is the 16th album released in 1992, Revenge. It's the first album to feature Eric Singer following the tragic death of Eric Carr in 1991, and it was his, there's a track on here that was his last thing that he did for the band. So Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Bruce Kulick, Eric Singer, and Eric Carr plays on a couple. So first track on here is called Unholy. Great track, great start. Actually written by Vinnie Vincent, so I don't know how long this one's been hanging around. Great track. Gene's brilliant on this, superb soft. Take It Off, love the bass line again from Gene on this. Nosky Wood guitar work here from Bruce. Really, really strong stuff. Tough Love is another good track, some riffs on here. Eric Singer's drumming is pretty awesome on this. I mean, I've seen Eric Singer drum when I've seen him when he drummed with Gary Moore, and he was amazing. Then we get Spit, nice little rock and roll number, and then we get the track that Eric Carr plays on. God Gave Rock and Roll to You. Yes, a song, of course, by Argent. It's cheesy, but there's something about it. You know, from Bill and Ted. It's just what makes it, even though it was the last thing that Eric Carr did for the band. And I love the guitar solo in this. And that's probably why I still like it, because it was Eric's last contribution as a member of Kiss. Then we get Domino, another rock and roll track, very rock and roll, and I do like that. Heart of Chrome, lovely riffs here from Bruce. There's a lot of energy in this album. And Thou Shalt Not, another really good track, great stuff. Every Time I Look at You sounds so much like Poison's Every Rose Has a Thorn. Not interested really, a bit wishy-washy. Paralysed, another brilliant track, great guitar work from Bruce. I Just Wanna, nice little rocker, little bit cheesy, but it's just good rock. And then we get the Car Jam 1981. I think it's a little tribute to Eric, just some drum stuff, drum solo. Normally I wouldn't go, why is that on there, but there's a good reason why this is on there. Just paying tribute to the man. I think this is a very underrated album, actually, and it should get more love than it does, because I think it's a very strong album. And I play this one a lot because it's just so good. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay then, coming at number 9, we go to the 20th and most current album, Monster, released in 2012. On here we have got Eric Singer, Paul Stanley, Tommy Thayer. Paul Stanley, piano is played by Bruce Whelan. First track on here is Hell or Hallelujah. Good opening track here, great riff from Tommy, it's absolutely on fire. Then we get The Wall of Sound. Again, a really good track. The riffs on here are terrific from Tommy. Eric Singer sounds great on this. Brilliant track. Really like that one. Then we get Freak. Another strong track from Criss. Great stuff. Back to the Age. One of a proper Gene Simmons song. Solid bass line on the album. Great vocals from Gene Simmons. Great stuff. Shout Mercy, again, strong track. I love the riffs on this. Really good track. Long Way Down. It's not my favourite on the album. It's a mediocre sort of track on there. Eat Your Heart Out. Again, it's just mediocre, not particularly brilliant, that one. The Devil Is In Me. Great riffs on this. And a great vocal from Gene. Love Gene's vocals. Then we get Out of This World. Great rock and roll track. Really love this. Then we got All the Love of Rock and Roll. Solid track. I love tracks, songs that just say rock and roll in them. Take Me Down Below. Another typical Gene track. Great bass line. Great drumming for Mr. Singer. Awesome stuff. Last Chance. Thumping bass line. Again, great way to end the album. Really good album. Probably their best album for a long time. And then this is going to be their last album. It's a really good one to go out on. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.1. Okay, then coming in at number 8, we go to the third album, released in 1975, Dressed to Kill. Got the classic lineup on here: Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Peter Criss and Ace Frehley. Opens up with Room Service. I love this. Great little rocker to open the album. Really strong riffs from Ace. Great little track. Two-timer. Love the guitar work in this. Both from Paul and Ace. Absolutely stunning track. Ladies in Waiting. Another classic track. Really love that one. Getaway. Not my favourite on the album, but it's solid enough. And my favourite track. Just love this. Rock Bottom. Sounds a lot better live. It's a great track. I love that gentle acoustic. And then you got the great vocal and some really strong riffs. Come On and Love Me. Good track. Love Ace's guitar work on this. Anything for My Baby. Probably one of the weaker tracks on the album. Not particularly brilliant. She. Love the drumming from Peter Criss on this. Ripping and some great driving riffs. All her. Start again. All her. Love Her All I Can. Great solo from Ace on that. Fantastic track. Then we get Rock and Roll All Night. One of the classics, of course. Love that track. I think this is a great album. It's got some belters on here. Some classic Kiss tracks. I think it's a little bit underrated as well. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.2. Okay, then coming in at number 7, we go back to the debut album, self-titled Kiss, released in 1974. This has also got the classic lineup on, so I'm not going to, we know who that is. But we've got additional people on this one. We have got Bruce Foster. Opens up with my favourite track on the album, and what a track to start the album, Strutter. This is class. Classic. Great track. Nothing to Lose. Great vocal from Paul Stanley. Really strong song. Like that one a lot. Firehouse. I love this. I mean, I love it live. Got some really good riffs in this. Bass line from Gene's fantastic. The Brilliant Cold Gin's next. Great drumming from Peter Criss. Let Me Know. Just a really solid rock and roll track. Kissing Time. Great bass line from Gene. Just a strong bass line from Gene. Then we get Deuce. Classic. I just love this one. Again, it's one of the tracks that sounds a lot better live. Love Theme from Kiss. Really nice guitar work on this. It's a cool little instrumental. 10,000 Years. Nothing wrong with this one. Very solid. Black Diamond. Great track this is. Ace Frehley's solo is fantastic on this. Again, another strong thumping bass line from Gene. I like how it slows down. I mean, I remember when I played this on my record player, the days when we had them, you thought, ooh, is my record player playing that? No, it's just on the track. Great way to end the album. Really good debut album. It contains two really classic albums. Classic songs on this album, of course, and I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay, then coming in at number 6, we do go to the 12th album, recorded in 1984, Animalize. This marked the only appearance of Mark St. John on guitars. It's a shame he had problems with his hands, didn't he? So on here we got Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Eric Carr and Mark St. John on the guitars. Opens up with I've Had Enough, Into the Fire. Great riffs, great guitar load from Mark St. John. Really is great. Heaven's on Fire. Great track. Love this track. Yeah, it's got a great riff to this one. Classic song from Kiss. Then we get Burn Bitch Burn. Great track. Forget what it's called. It's just an absolute belting track. Great riffs from Mark on that one. Get All You Can Take. Solid track. I love the riffs in this as well. Absolutely brilliant. Then we get Lonely Is the Hunter. Great track. Gene Simmons track. Brilliant stuff. Then we get my favourite track on here, Under the Gun. Love that drum on this. It's absolutely brilliant from Eric Carr. That bass line. Brilliant stuff. Thrills in the Night. Great rock track. Mark St. John's guitar playing is really good on this. While the City Sleeps, not too bad. It's alright. Murder in High Heels, probably the weakest track on the album. It was a little bit ordinary. I think this is a great album. I think Mark St. John's guitar work was fantastic on this. Such a shame he had a problem with his hands. I'm sure if he hadn't had this problem, he'd have made a few more albums with the band, I hope. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.4. Okay, then coming in at number 5, we have the second album. Released in 1974, Hotter Than Hell. So we're back to Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Peter Criss and Ace Frehley. First track on this one, of course, is Got to Choose. Great opening track. Just love those riffs on this. Love it. Parasite. Song sang by Mr. Ace Frehley. Love this track. And apparently Ace Frehley plays the bass on this as well. Really good track. Going Blind. Nice gentle track, but the drumming from Peter Criss on this is really hard-hitting and crisp. Hotter Than Hell. Classic track. One of my favourite tracks by Kiss. Love this to death. What can you say about that track? Let Me Go, Rock and Roll. Again, one of them tracks mentions the word rock and roll, and it is just pure rock and roll. Great track. All the Way, another of those great Gene Simmons songs. His bass line really drives the song. Great drumming from Peter. Solid track. Watching You. Backing vocals are on this. A brilliant, really good track. Mainline. Love the riffs in this. Good old-fashioned rock riff. Stupid stuff. Coming Home. Bass line from Gene again. I love his bass work on this track. Really good. And then we get Strange Ways. Again, this is dominated by Gene Simmons' bass. I think this album does get very underrated. I mean, I like this one better than the debut. There's some great stuff on this album, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, then coming in at number 4, we've got the fifth album released in 1976, and it's the second they released in 1976, and it's called Rock and Roll Over. On here we have Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Peter Criss and Ace Frehley, of course. First track, I Want You. Oh, I love that opening riff. Bit soft. What's going on here? Oh, because it's gentle, and then you get them coming in. Absolutely brilliant track. Tank Me, another stomping rock track. Love that one. Then we get a Gene Simmons song, probably one of his classics, Calling Dr. Love. Love that track. Great bass line. Ladies Room, again a typical Gene Simmons song. It's really good. Baby Driver, a song by Peter Criss wrote this. It's a really good track. I like that track. Again, Gene Simmons' bass is brilliant. Love 'Em and Leave 'Em. It's okay, but it's got a great solo from Ace Frehley. Mr. Speed. Love Paul's vocal on this. Nice guitar work as usual. Solid track. See You in Your Dreams. Just solid rock and roll from the band. Brilliant stuff. Hard Luck Woman. little acoustic style number here, quite good. Making Love, it's the last track. Great rock track. The riff in this is terrific. Solid track from the band, and the best guitar solo from Ace on this album. Solid album from top to bottom. Not a bad track on this album, is there? It's just one of those albums that you love. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.6. Okay then, coming in at number 3. Go to the 6th album, 1977. This was Peter Criss's last full album. It's Love Gun. Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Peter Criss and Ace Frehley. First track is I Stole Your Love. Great track. Great opener again. Drumming from Peter and Criss on this is pretty good. Christine 16. Okay, the lyrics are a little bit risky for this climate today, but it's a good tune. Got Love for Sale, one of Jane's great bass lines, drives the song along, really nice riffs. A lot of acoustic guitar on this, which is pretty good. Shock Me, love the riff in this. Great stuff from Ace Frehley. Tomorrow and Tonight. What I like about this track, it's like most of these early Kiss tracks. Great honest rock and roll, great harmonies, great track. Then we get the classic Love Gun. That's a great classic track. Then we get Hooligan. Favourite track on here. I just love the riffs in this, and the guitar solo is pretty good for Ace. Almost human. Another belting guitar solo for Ace. Some really strong guitar solos on this. Really heavy track for the time. Plaster Caster. Thumping bass line. Love it. And then, what do they go and do? A cover of Then She Kissed Me. What a terrible cover it is. Awful. What in God's name made them do that? It ruined the album. Great album up to then, and then I never play that track. But for the rest of the album, it's classic. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.7. Okay then, we've got to number 2. 10th album from 1982. Creatures of the Night. It was the last feature that trademark makeup until 1998. First album for Vinnie Vincent. We've got Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Eric Carr and Vinnie Vincent. Opens up with the brilliant Creatures of the Night. I just love that track. Classic out track. Great riffs from Vinnie. What a way to open up your account. Saint and Sinner. Love that opening riff again. Pretty cool. Keep Me Coming. Love this. Vinnie Vincent's guitar work on this is absolutely brilliant. Rock and Roll Hell. More stomping rock here. Love the drums and bass in this. Really, really good. Penned by Simmons and Brian Adams, no less. Danger. Love the drums on this. And the guitar at the beginning of this is just another really good track. Then we get I Love It Loud. Classic. One of the classic songs. Great vocal. Great live. One of Gene's best. I Still Love You. Probably their best slow ballad song that they ever did. It's a nice arrangement and it's a really strong vocal from Paul. It's superb. Then we get Killer. Eric Carr's drumming. Absolutely electrifying. Then we get War Machine. God, this is one of my favourite tracks off this album and probably one of my favourite tracks by Kiss. I love Vinnie Vincent's screeching guitar solo on it. It's awesome. What a way to end this album. I think this is the album that saved Kiss's career, actually. Vinnie Vincent came in, made some great contributions to this band, especially on this album. Great way for him to start, and definitely saved Kiss's skin. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.8. Okay then, number one. Well, if you remember, I did this as a classic album a little while ago. First album they released in '76, because they released two. It's the fourth album, and it's the Brilliant Destroyer. It's always been my favourite. Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Peter Criss and Ace Frehley. We got Dick Wagner, who does some work on this on the guitars. The Brooklyn Boys Choir's on here. David and Josh Ezrin and the New York Philharmonic Orchestra on Beth. Opens up with probably the best track they ever did, Detroit Rock City. And it's one of them, if you've never heard the full album version, if you're a sort of greatest hits of Kiss, you wouldn't get the whole of this. It's just a brilliant track. King of the Nighttime World, I love this. The drumming from Peter Criss is superb. Some nice vocals on here and some great stuff from Ace. God of Thunder. Whoa. Great bass line, gritty vocal from Gene on that. Great Expectations. Now, I like this. It's a little bit different. And this is a song I think could have been appeared in Tommy. It really is good. I actually love this track. I know there's people that don't like it. I like it. Flaming Youth. Solid track. Love Paul Stanley's vocals on this. Some great riffs on this track. Sweet Pain. Great track. Gene Simmons' vocals are brilliant on this. Solid track. Let me get another classic, of course. Shout It Loud. One of the classics. I love this. Gene's bass line is great. They still play this today, of course, and it'll always remain one of the classics. And then we get Beth. I just don't like it. Do You Love Me? As I say, stick to the drums, Peter Criss, because your drumming is great on this. It's a really good vocal from Paul. I love the double entendre in places. It's quite glam rocky as well, and I really like that track. And then we got Rock and Roll Party. It's just 1 minute tongue guns and then having a bit of fun at the end. Okay, apart from Beth, I think this is a strong album. Every track is kicking. Some great guitar work on here. Probably some of Gene's best vocals. He's a very versatile singer, and I do like listening to this album. Even after all these years, it still gives me a great buzz. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. So there we are. Kiss. And as I said halfway through, I haven't done the 4 solo albums that they did, but I will be ranking them as in an individual show, because I think they need to have a little bit of love, because there are some really good tracks on them. So we'll be doing that at some stage, probably September. So that's all for today, because this was always a big one. I'll be back tomorrow, which is Thursday, so we've got a battle of the debuts, and we've got a really good one tomorrow. We're looking at some punk, and we're going to look at 2 bands that really started the punk movement, one from America and one from the UK. So we're talking about the Ramones and the Sex Pistols. Also tomorrow, album artwork from the Brilliant Rush. Plus we'll get a What's On next week little video. And don't forget, 4th of August, it's not that far away now. We will be back on the live stream. Myself, Rocky will be here. He's always here, is Rock. But and Mastermind Dave will be back. Been doing a lot of work since we've been off air, and I'm sure he'll explain what he's done to you on the live stream. So have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.